Hi everyone! Quite often you ask me which art supplies I use for covering black lines in coloring books. When I realized that I am not completely happy how Posca pens mask black lines, I started to search for other markers brand and I found this German Molotow One4All acrylic markers. For now I have only white and skin tone markers. But Molotov has a very interesting line of acrylic markers. I decided to purchase markers with different nib sizes. Here I have 1 millimeter, 1.5 and 2 millimeters. You can see that on the cap there is a name of the color and near the end we have size of the nib. I definitely prefer 1 millimeter and 1.5, but 2 is also not bad. I purchased mine from Jackson's Art and it's a pity that even if Molotov markers have quite big variety of colors, but not for all nib sizes. Or maybe it was simply a limited art supply on Jackson's Art. Anyway, you can see that they create two sides markers, white nib markers. But as my main purpose was to cover black lines, I decided that it will be enough for me to have 1, 1.5 and 2 millimeters. They could be purchased individually and also in sets. I really love this one in pastel colors, but unfortunately on Jackson's available only sets in 4 millimeters, but I will continue to search. What I love is that they have this clear window and you can see insides of the marker and how much acrylic paint is still inside, so you can feel when your marker will end. Other nice thing is that nibs are replaceable, just like with Posca pens, and also markers are refillable. I haven't purchased refills yet. I plan to do it with my next purchase on Jackson Art. At least I will purchase a white acrylic paint and then I will be able to tell you how easy or how difficult it is to refill them. For now, I am completely happy with their behavior. With Posca pens, I constantly had two main problems. First one is quite often they stop to work and I need to cleanse the nib. Molotov acrylic markers have similar problem, but for me it's much easier to clean their nib. I need only to keep it under water or dip it in the with water for several seconds, something like this, and it starts working like new. With Posca pens I am not as successful. Couple of my markers are still new, but they constantly stop to work. Second problem which I had with Posca is that I can mask black line with Posca, but then when I start to apply pencil on top of Posca, pencil could scratch Posca layer, so Posca doesn't stick very strong to the paper surface. When liquid acrylic paint dries completely, it's quite difficult to scrape it off from the paper, even when I use on top of it harder pencils like polychromos. For me it's really important because when I color portraits, I want to mask black lines, but I also want to mask white lines which look unnatural on portraits, so I need to work on top of the white with my pencils. And I found that with Molotovs it's easier for me they stick to the paper harder. Also, I would say that Molotow provides more opaque and bright coverage, and Posca provides more watercolory, more transparent effect. Another problem which I had with Posca is that when I apply Posca on top of some bright pencil colors like bright yellow or bright red, a pigment of Posca somehow mixes with pigment of pencil, and Posca looks not white when it dried but pale yellow or pale pink, and I am also not very happy with it. If you touch areas covered with Molotow and with Posca, you can say that acrylic paint from Molotow are more dense, so you can feel this white layer, and Posca is more subtle, soft, so you don't feel when you touch this area. Now let me show you how you can remove and maybe replace or rinse off the nib of the marker. It's quite easy. I use both marker brands when I need to mask black lines, but I don't like to use them if I need to mask big areas. You know, like stars on Hannah Carson girl faces. For such purposes, I prefer to use paint because both Posca and Molotov don't provide a very smooth surface, and it's a little bit difficult to work on top of them with pencils to get a very smooth coverage. Let me show you a couple of my recent works where I used white Molotov for the white hair of the witch, and here for all crystals, gems, snowflakes, and also for the fur of the puma. Everywhere I used white Molotov, and you can see how bright white it is. And you can see that white pigment remains white. So another reason why I prefer Molotov, a part of the opacity and a part of the ability to refill them. Now let me show you how pencils work on top of both markers. As I said, you can't expect to be getting the same smooth coverage as you would get on the paper. When you have this paint layer under your pencils, it definitely will increase visible pencil strokes, so don't expect miracles. Also, I tried to apply water. Honestly, I don't know why. I never use first a white marker and then some water mediums, but anyway, it was interesting. Both markers dry equally quickly. When I applied water to Posca, uh, pigment simply disappeared somewhere, so a central part of this white rectangle started to be black. And with Molotov, I don't know why, but some white paint started to flow around. Maybe I applied very thick layer and it wasn't dried completely. You can see that you can work with pencils on both of markers and that coverage is not very smooth, so I wouldn't recommend it to use as an underpaint if you want to do skin tone, but on all other purposes, for covering black lines, for drawing some white details, I highly recommend you to try Molotov markers. Markers are available on Jackson's Art on Amazon USA, and as it's a German product, I'm sure that it will be available on other Amazons in Europe. Here is my ultimate test where I tried to mask black lines with white layer of Posca and one layer of Molotov. When Posca pigment dried, you can still see the very pale black lines, but they are still visible. And with Molotov, I was able to mask almost completely, even with one layer. For now, I am quite happy with my Molotov markers. I definitely will try to purchase another markers with small nibs, especially I am interested in pastel colors. And if you know any other good brands of acrylic markers which I can purchase and try, I will be happy to hear it. I hope that my opinion about these white markers will be helpful, and if you struggle with your white gel pens or white Poscas, you will decide to try Molotovs. Maybe they will be helpful for you.